to Final Play Sports Rap, where I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and today we're doing the Mountain West Wrap Up, and that's week 10 of the NCAA football season. Season has gone by quickly. There are 4 official weeks left in the season, and most teams have about 3 games left, some with 4. But what we know for sure at this point is there were a lot of upsets in the Mountain West this week, as both the top teams, or 2 of the top teams in Boise and UNLV, both were upset by other teams in the Mountain West. So let's get started. New Mexico has surprised everyone this year after being picked last in the conference and forecasted to be 1-11 or 2-10 by some procrastinators. Coach of the Year candidate Jason Eck has something special going on in Albuquerque. The Red Hot Lobos traveled to 6-1 UNLV and escaped with a highly entertaining 40-35 victory. The Lobos scored the first 21 points of the game, only to see that lead completely disappear after a pick six by Kadarius Keys in the second quarter. On the next possession, the Lobos scored on an 80-yard pass play from Kansas State transfer Idaho State transfer Jack Lane to Kansas State transfer Keegan Johnson, and they recovered one of 6 Las Vegas fumbles to take a 10-point lead into the half. The Rebels slowly chipped away in the second half and took a lead 35-34 on a TD pass from Anthony Calandrea. The Lobos put a final drive together for a touchdown with 2 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. UNLV could not move the ball on their first possession and punted away. The Lobos could not run out the clock, so they gave the UNLV Rebels another chance. But once again, there was very little time left in the game, about 30-40 seconds. And they were unable to get a first down and ultimately try to razzle-dazzle Australian rules football type play to end the game and fumbled for their 6th time. Keegan Johnson had 6 catches for 158 yards and a TD. Jack Lane had a brilliant day with 342 yards and on 17 of 23 throwing and 3 TDs. He had an interception. Anthony Calandreas is super impressive. He also had an excellent game, throwing for 322 and 3 TDs. New Mexico moves to 6-3 on the season, 3-2 in conference, and UNLV drops to 6-2 and is now 2-2 in conference. I gotta say, I've seen almost every quarterback in the Mountain West play right now. Anthony Calandrea was the single most impressive that I've seen. Walter Eget is certainly a very good quarterback as well, but Calandrea has just got something about him that's good. He's mobile. He's got a great throw, nice touch on the ball. That was a really good win for New Mexico. A week after getting punked by San Diego State at home, Fresno State headed north to Boise to play the Broncos in the annual Battle for the Milk Jug. So that's always exciting. The game was close throughout the first half, with Fresno taking a 10-7 lead with a field goal just before intermission. The Broncos' offense, quite frankly, sputtered behind backup quarterback Matt Cutforth, who replaced Madux Madsen, who was seriously hurt in the first period. The Bulldogs scored 20 points in the second half as Boise turned the ball over a couple of times. The final score was 30-7. Boise had 3 turnovers in the game and punted 7 times. And for the weird stat of the day, get this, Fresno threw the ball 21 times for 35 yards, a solid 1.7 average. Boise was undefeated in conference. They fall to 4-1. Fresno moves up to 2-2 in conference. San Diego State continued its winning ways by defeating Wyoming 24-7. The Aztecs scored 17 in the first half and shut the Cowboys out in the second half. During the victory, Wyoming was unable to generate any offense with just 185 total yards in the game compared to 390 for the Aztecs. The Cowboys also had 4 turnovers and 6 penalties. So if you have no offense and you have 4 turnovers and 6 penalties, you're probably going to lose. For their part, San Diego State was a bit sloppy with 2 turnovers and 8 penalties, but they got the win. San Jose State, coming off a bye, got a hard-fought shootout over Hawaii, 45-38. Spartans scored 24 second-quarter points and held Hawaii to 7. Hawaii had 24 second-half points, but was not enough to catch San Jose, and it was not exactly a defensive affair, as San Jose State had 630 yards of total offense, and Hawaii had 496 yards of total offense. So between the schools, over 1,100 yards of total offense. No defense was played that I can discern. Walker Eget threw for 458 yards and 2 DDs. Danny Scudero continued to impress at wide receiver with 7 catches for 215 yards and 2 TDs, a 30.7 yards per carry effort. We were going to compare that to the guy who had a 1.7 average, had 35. So Fresno State, 35 yards. Anthony Scudero had 30.5 yards running or catch each time he caught a ball. So big difference there. Finally, in interconference play, Air Force dropped a close game to Army, 20-17. The game was 10-10 heading into the fourth. Dawson Jones of Army kicked a field goal with no time remaining to walk off the Knights. The Falcons are having a dreadful season after another dreadful season, and one has to wonder if Troy Calhoun is on the hot seat. The academies do not have the NIL to work with, and it is clearly changing the dynamic for those academies, although it does not explain Navy's 7-1 record this year. CSU, Utah State, and Nevada had byes. And so if we look at the standings for the Mountain West, there's a lot of teams that are still in it now that Boise has lost. So you've got San Diego State at 4-0, Boise at 4-1 now, Fresno State, Hawaii, and New Mexico all at 3-2, Utah State, UNLV, and San Jose State are all 2-2. So it looks to me, if I was looking at this, that there's going to be a 7-1 team, likely maybe a 6-2, and maybe it's a 7-1 and a 6-2 are the 2 teams that make it to the conference championship. San Diego State's in a good position, but the meat of their schedule is still ahead of them. So they travel to Hawaii. I think they travel to Utah State. They get Boise, I think, at home, and then they travel to New Mexico. So, they're getting 3 or 4 of the better teams in the conference the last 4 games. It's unlikely they're going to go undefeated through all of that. And so, they're looking like a 7-1 kind of team. Boise, without Madux Madsen, is not the same team, and maybe they can get it corrected in a week, but their schedule is not that easy either, and if they can't move the ball, they're not going to win. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Boise has a second loss or maybe even a third loss. Fresno State is 3-2. They're in pretty good shape, but they got some tough games coming up. Hawaii's got some tough games coming up. New Mexico, interestingly enough, may have the best road to the finals, and at least they could potentially control their own destiny, because they've already beaten Utah State and they've already beaten UNLV. And so, and what they have left on their schedule is Air Force. So one of the bottom feeders, they've got CSU, who fired their coach, and then they have San Diego State coming in to New Mexico. So that last game of the year may, in fact, be a preview of the next game, the conference championship. So very interesting. San Jose State is also 2-2. I don't know if they can go on the road and win. They do win at home, but I don't know if they can get by without another loss. So if we look at Week 11 games, Air Force 2-6, 1-4 is at San Jose State. San Jose State's 3-5, 2-2 in conference. They are favored by 3.5. I suspect San Jose State will be able to cover that. Their offense is just good enough, and Air Force's defense is just bad enough that it would not surprise me in the least if they won that game. Nevada is 1-7, 0-4. They're traveling to Utah State. Both teams coming off a bye. Utah State is 4-4 on the year, 2-2 in conference, and they are 9.5-point favorites. Nevada was playing a little bit better, and they gave New Mexico pretty much all they could handle. So this one might be a little closer. I still suspect Utah State to win, but giving 9.5 seems like a big number for me. So we'll see what happens there. UNLV now 6-2 and 2-2 in conference, travels to Colorado State, who's 2-6, 1-3. Colorado State also coming off a bye are 4.5-point dogs at home. I suspect UNLV has enough offense to beat Colorado State, and I believe they'll figure out some things on defense to limit Colorado State. So I would give the 4.5 and take UNLV. And then San Diego State now 7-1 and 4-0. Travels to Hawaii 3-2 in conference, 6-3 overall. San Diego State is a 6.5-point road favorite. So weird things happen when you go to the islands, and the kids don't focus the same way. It becomes vacation. They see the palm trees and the beach and the ocean and the tourists, and they think they're on vacation and not a business trip. And so it would not surprise me in the least if Hawaii pulled out the upset in Hawaii. We'll see how that happens. In any case, it might be worth taking Hawaii and getting the point, 6.5. From a bye standpoint, New Mexico, Wyoming, Fresno State, and Boise State are all resting up for the final 3-4 weeks of the season. And that is it. So I hope you enjoyed this wrap-up. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube page. It costs you nothing, but it sure does help me out. Thanks, and have a great day, everybody. Bye.